All right, good morning, everybody. My name is Barbara Tassa. I'm with Desk.com, and today you are joining the admin webinar for setting up Desk.com, and today we'll be covering some more advanced setup. So hopefully you guys can all hear me okay and see my screen. If not, please let us know in the chat window. So today on the call, in addition to myself, I have my colleague Jessica Fry. Hi, Jessica. Good morning.
Hi, Barb. Good afternoon from Chicago.
Good afternoon. That's true. I was forgetting about the time difference. But yeah, so we're basically both customer success managers here on the Desk.com team. And our role is to help you be as successful as you can with our application. And so today, what we'll be doing is essentially walking through some configurations that can help you really get the most out of Desk. And just a couple of housekeeping items before we start. The training portion will be about 45 minutes of content. We do have Q&A at the end, but if there are any questions throughout the webinar, feel free to type those into the chat window. Jessica will be monitoring the questions and answering them as we go along. The webinar is going to be recorded, and we'll provide you with a recording. You'll get an email either later today or tomorrow that has both the recording of this webinar as well as the presentation that we're using and any of the links that we're going to be referencing today. Now, in terms of agenda, what we're going to cover today are how to enable multiple channels for support. So beyond email, we're going to look at the support center as well as chat. Within the support site, we're going to look at ways to update the look and feel with what's called the mobile responsive theme. And I'm also going to customize the email contact form. Within the rule section, we're going to be doing some advanced rule setup. So we're going to create an outbound rule, time rule, as well as a case updated rule. And then we'll go over why we're going to do those things. We'll also cover reporting. So we do get a lot of reporting questions. And we thought it'd be a great opportunity to talk about how you can get data from Desk. And the three main ways you can do that is through the Desk Business Insights section, case exports, or the Desk API. And towards the end, we'll also talk briefly about DesConnect. So that's for those of you who want to sync your cases, your Desk customer inquiries between Desk.com and your Salesforce account. And we'll talk about how you can set that up. And of course, we'll have time for Q&A at the end. And again, if you have any questions throughout, I do encourage you to add them to the chat window. And one note I just do want to mention, so we've actually just recently revised our webinar series for admins. So this we call Admin 2, and then last week we had Admin 1. So if you had the chance to watch Admin 1, I think it'll be a great continuation and build on what we talked about last week. But if you have not, of course, you can go back and view all those webinars. We do record them and post them in the support center. All right, so if you've watched any of our previous admin videos and webinars, you may remember this bike shop, Bay Cycles. And today I'll continue to use Bay Cycles as our example company that uses Desk.com to provide great customer support. The only difference now is that in addition to doing the basic setup and helping Bay Cycles answer customer inquiries, the company has now started to grow up a bit, and we need to start accounting for more complexity in their business. So here are some of the things that Bay Cycles now wants to be able to do with their support. So first, they want to enable customers to contact them through more channels and also get self-support. The teams really want to customize the layouts and the look and feel of Desk for not just themselves, but also for each of the customer types that they serve. So in Bay Cycles, we talk about having two customer types, including leisure cyclists and, let me switch back here to my screen. Talk about leisure cyclists as well as competitive cyclists. And third, we want to be able to get back to our customers a little bit faster. So we're going to start implementing what are called SLAs. The team also wants to be able to have better reporting for their customer support operations. And lastly, the team is growing quite a bit and considering adding a separate sales team that will work in Salesforce. So they're looking for ways to share information between Desk.com and Salesforce. And that's where DesConnect comes in. All right, so thinking back to the base cycles customers, if you've seen this, if it looks familiar, we have two types of customers. One is a leisure cyclist, and the other is a competitive cyclist. And so, leisure cyclists would have contacted us for things like bike sales, service, and events. They ask about specific event types. The new things that we're going to be adding to this particular cyclist profile is we're going to create more friendly branding and emails that we send out to our leisure cyclists. We're also going to look at implementing 8-hour SLAs so we can get back to our customers within the same day. And in terms of Salesforce, we're not really going to be concerned about pushing these particular customer inquiries from Desk into Salesforce. And for our competitive cyclist, the second customer type that Base Cycle serves, the contact reasons and events why they contact us, those are all staying the same. What's new is that we're going to also brand their particular emails with more of like a racing or competitive theme. And we also have different SLAs. So our management team here at Base Cycles wants us to get back to the competitive cyclist inquiries in just about 3 hours. And we're also now going to start pushing these inquiries from competitive cyclists into our Salesforce instance using DesConnects. And so you may also have seen this bird's eye view, but if you haven't, basically the diagram is just a quick reminder of how Desk works and how cases get into Desk. So if you have an email, for example, that comes from one of your customers, that email is forwarded into Desk. Desk can look at attributes on that unique email address. For example, who it's coming from, who it's going to, what is the subject line, body, and anything else unique about that interaction. And then with the automation and processing engine or the rules engine, we can take certain actions. And those could be, for example, assigning it to a specific agent. And when that agent gets a case assigned to them, they can capture information in what are called custom fields. They can reply back to the customer with just like a normal email reply, or use what are called macros that are more productivity tools to help them get customers' responses out faster. And then when that email goes back to the customer finally, Desk has what are called email reply templates that change the look and feel of the email. And so we're going to be doing some customization today around this area. And then lastly, the new part really is here. When we do get interactions into Desk now, we can also sync those with Salesforce through DesConnect. All right, and now the main part of the webinar. So here's our agenda of what we're actually going to set up in our Base Cycles instance today. So first, we're going to enable our support center and make sure chat and our email form are enabled. Second, we're actually going to go and then start customizing our support center. We're going to create a responsive theme. We're going to add an article, and I'm also going to show you how to add a custom field to your email form. Third, we're going to start customizing the look and feel of the email reply themes that go back and forth between our customers. And we're going to create one for the leisure cyclists and another for our competitive cyclists. Fourth, we'll get into the rules engine. We'll use an outbound rule to actually set those reply themes that we've created in step 3. We're going to create some time rules to be able to get back to our customers in 3 or 8 hours, depending on if they're a leisure or a competitive cyclist. And lastly, we're going to create a case updated rule just to make sure we capture the information on cases that we want. So we're creating essentially a required field. And in step 5, this is where we're going to ask for your help and participation in actually testing this setup with us. So we'll provide you with an email address in the chat window, and you guys can send in some test cases into my Desk site. You can see what everything looks like. After the testing, we'll get into some reporting. Then we'll talk about DesConnect. And if we have time, we'll do some more testing at the end. All right, so let's get started. We have quite a bit to do. So I'm going to navigate over into my Desk setup here. And so if you've been an administrator for a while or you're just starting out, this may look familiar here. This is the admin area. So if I log into my Desk site, I get into my dashboard. I have the ability to add team members, channels, cases, content, and apps. So I'll be spending a lot of time in the channels, cases, and content area today. So the first thing that we're going to do is go into our channels and see if our support center is enabled, as well as the email form and chat. So most of the time out of the box, the support center is already enabled. So it's turned on, and I can see that here with the status. So it says enabled. And to check out what it looks like, I can just basically copy this URL, or just look at the URL at the top of my page here, and that actually will direct me right to the support site. So if I copy that over and I paste that in, that should take me to the desk support site. So this one I've actually already customized a little bit, but let me show you what it looks like out of the box if you're just turning it on for the first time. So everything that's the look and feel of a support site is controlled what's called by the web theme. And out of the box, there's a theme called the Desk.com default. So if I make that the default, and I'm just going to do a quick refresh of this page, it'll look something like this. So we'll see that there are some sample topics and sample articles that have been created. I can see it's a generic My Company, it's a support center. And also on the right-hand side, I actually see that I already have two links enabled. One is called Email Us. And if I click on that, it will take me to the email contact form. So this is what it looks like out of the box. If a customer fills this out and sends me this email, it will actually create a case in Desk. So we do think of this as another channel in addition to having your direct email that customers can email, and that creates a case in Desk. The second thing here you'll see probably is a live chat option. So if they fill this out, it basically starts a chat session with one of your agents that's working in Desk. Now, if for some reason you do not see these links on the right-hand side, it's really easy to turn on. So I'll go back into the support center section of my admin, and just make sure if I go to chat, I'll go to advanced settings, and just make sure this is toggled on. So if this is toggled off, it will remove the link from the page essentially. So that chat is not available. And email as well. So email usually is basically, this is just looking at your email that's coming into Desk. So this is the one that we're going to be using for testing later on today. So what I'll do now is, so now that I know I have my channels enabled, I have my support center, email form, and chat enabled. So everything here functionally is what I want to set up today. I'm going to start going ahead and customizing the look and feel of the support site. Now, we don't have, I guess we have some examples of support centers. So if you guys are looking for other ways that customers have set up their own support center, we'll provide you with some links towards the end. But today what we're going to use is what's called a responsive theme, and that was built by our Desk team to make it a little bit more nicer and mobile friendly for your customers to navigate. So the code is actually stored in a GitHub link. So let me just grab that for us. And what I'm going to do, if you're not comfortable with code, I want to let you know that it's actually a pretty straightforward step. All we're going to do is copy and paste the header information as well as the body information, and we're going to copy and paste that right into a new web theme that we're creating. So there's no real coding that's required on this part. It's just a simple copy and paste. So what I'll do is go into my admin setup, go to Support Center and Web Themes. And under the web theme, I'll just add a new one. So we'll call this March 9th responsive theme. So when I create this responsive theme, it's going to give me a lot of options to start customizing. But the very first thing I'll do is head over to this tab called Advanced Themes. I'll hit Continue. And I'm going to click this button called Edit in Source Mode. So that Edit in Source Mode button just gives me all of the code in a header section and a body section. So all I'm going to do is just in the header section, I'm going to take that, delete it, and then go over here to the new theme in the GitHub repository. Click the raw button on the header, copy and paste that, and go back here and then paste that in. And I'm going to do the exact same thing with the body section. And once I've done that, I'll just click Update. In my case, I've already gone ahead and actually created a responsive theme. So I'll just make that default for now. And when I refresh the portal, it'll look like it did at the beginning where, let me just do that one more time. Make sure that is the default. Okay. Oh, it's interesting. It's not liking switching over for me just this 1 second. Let's try that again. It usually does default pretty quickly. Let's try that again. Make sure my responsive theme is in here.
And so while Barb troubleshoots that, this is a great example, from an admin perspective, a lot of what we do is test whatever we're configuring. When Barb and I ran through the content yesterday, it updated pretty quickly. So here you can see on the screen, she went ahead and she was able to get that change saved and updated here.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Jess. So that is true. Like definitely there's a lot of testing and troubleshooting that we'll do as well. But basically that is the theme, what it looks like. So all I did was I applied something that just made it look a little bit different. And now to kind of test the responsive nature of it, all I do is grab the size of the browser window and resize it. So you can see that the text adjusts, and that essentially allows me to have a great experience for my customers that want to visit my support site, regardless if they're accessing this site from a desktop or a mobile device. So that's why it's called a mobile responsive theme. It adjusts to the screen size. So that is pretty much it. So all I've done is just copied some new GitHub code into the body and header section of a responsive theme. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to add an article and then add some custom fields to this email us form. So I'll go in here and let me just cancel out of here. Let's just make sure this is still the default. So I'm going to go ahead and just try that again because I tried it from the preview screen. So let's see. For some reason it's not, but we'll use the preview button today. So in any case, what we'll do is we're now going to go ahead into the content section and actually add a new article. So the first thing I want to do is when I have an article or a topic, I want to think of how I want to categorize the information that I want to share with my customers. So in this case, in the bike shop example, a lot of the reasons why customers contact us is to learn about the events that we host. So I'm actually going to go ahead and create a new topic just called events. And that way I can create new articles and list the most commonly occurring events that we have at our bike shop. So rather than emailing us, a customer can go to our support center and get all of the information they need. So I'll go into the admin section and content. I'll add a topic, and that topic is going to be called events. And I'll click add. So now that I've added a topic, I also want to add my first article. So I've actually gone ahead and just created it already. I've just not shown it in the support center yet. So this will be an article about one of our popular events, the Friday evening bike rides. And I'll just basically enable it in the support center and click updates. So at this point, basically I should be able to see this article in my support center now. So it's under here, so Friday fun rides with base cycles, and this is what my article would look like in the support center. And the one thing I noticed here is when I created this, even though I added the topic events, it actually didn't automatically go under there. That's because I created the topic later. So I can really easily change that under article attributes and change from canned responses to events and then hit update. So now when I go back in here, there we go, it's properly linking from the homepage to the events topic, and then I can see that article with Friday fun rides with base cycles. And so the great thing about article is you can add images, you can add video, you can add text, anything to really help your content come alive in your support center. And so what typically happens is if a customer comes to the support center and they see an article but maybe it doesn't quite answer all of their questions, they're likely going to click on the email us button and they're going to want to ask some questions or follow-up questions. So I've actually gone ahead and added a custom field already. So out of the box, we're asking for your name, your email address, your subject, and the message, but I've gone ahead and wanted to give a little bit more insight to my support team about who's contacting them. So this is actually pulling a custom field that I've already created in Desk called customer type. And we have the leisure cyclist and competitive cyclist. So I actually want our customers to tell us who they are. And in order to make that change, again, I'm going to go into the channel section. It's going to be under the support center web themes. And I'll show you how you can modify this particular question. So under advanced themes, this time I'm just going to navigate to the left-hand side so I can see that the email section is kind of signaled for me here. And I've gone ahead and put a little bit of a breadcrumb here that says I'm adding the customer type custom field here. So I've basically created a new drop-down field, and this liquid variable here is referencing my created custom field called customer type. The one other reason, maybe one other thing I want to actually add here is asking the customer why they're contacting us. So it would help us triage the question a little bit faster. So what I can go ahead and do is either copy and paste this one because it looks very similar. And in this case, I'll just do that. Copy and paste this section. And I'll call this, I'm adding the customer, not the custom type, but I'm asking the contact reason. And this also is this is also a custom field that I've already created. And I'll just call this contact reason. That's what it looks like in my database. And let's update this to customer type. And now let's just take a look at that. Let's hit save and continue editing. I'm going to press this preview button. So let's see what the email form looks like now. And there we go. So I just need to update this text. So this is the dropdown I want because it's saved in my custom field, but I didn't actually update the text. So I want this to say, why are you contacting us, or contact reason. And I can go in there and change that easily with this text here. Contact reason. Click save and edit. Hit preview. Let's click back to the email form. And now I can see I've updated the contact reason. I still see the writer type, and I can see the service or events. So this is a great way that you can start thinking about the things that you need to ask your customers so you can start providing support a lot faster. All right, so now we're going to move away from the support center for a little bit. We can, of course, come back here and test it out, and you guys can all actually try that form out in a little bit. But now we're going to go and start customizing those email reply themes. And so an email reply theme is essentially what it sounds like. It's something that the customer is going to see when they email you. So you can add things like logos and links, maybe follow us on Twitter, any kind of messaging that you want. So to customize that, I'm going to go into the email section of channels, and I'm going to click on reply themes. So I've gone ahead and created one for us already. So let's take a look at what a general email reply theme looks like today. So in general, this sort of looks like an email. So it's familiar where it says a from, to, CC, BCC line, and subject. So this is typically what you would see in a normal email. And then you have this section called HTML body. And the HTML body is what controls the look and feel of this particular email. So this is actually not really kind of easy to imagine what it looks like. So what I typically like to do is just copy this code and use what's called JSBin to help me really see kind of what I'm working with in this particular instance. So I'm just going to go ahead and remove this. So JSBin is a free online editor, so you can kind of have this HTML code go in here, and although it doesn't fully render things that are in those two curly braces called liquid variables, at least it gives me a good idea of where I can add my code. So as you can see, this is my unique code that I added here. So I added a little tagline, base cycle is a place for your leisure riding, and I put a little image of people that are just on a Sunday ride outside. And the place I put that here, this is the code that I added. So I added basically just text, a couple of line breaks, an image that's hosted on the web. I resized that image just to make it look a little bit more fitted into that space. And then I put another little break and then just a horizontal line. So you can see that there. So that's essentially what I've done. And I'm going to do the exact same thing for my competitive cyclist. So what I'll do is I'll go back and I'll create a new reply theme. So let's maximize that. So let's create a new theme called competitive cyclist. Click add. So I'm going to take this code and put it into JSBin again. So I can just see what it looks like without any kind of customizations. And so what I'm looking for essentially is that little section that's right below the agent's email signature. And there's a lot of code here, but here we go. So I see the email signature. So what I'll do is the same thing, put a couple of line breaks. And in this case, I already have my code prepared in advance. So let me just copy that. And let's do this. So I'll just copy and paste it right in here. So I have my images ready to go. And so again, I basically just put in some text to say lead your pack with base cycles. And I've included an image link, resized it a little bit, and then also put a new reference to actually follow us on Twitter for the latest announcements. So it's just a quick hyperlink to the Desk.com Twitter page, and then I close that in the A tags. So I'm pretty happy with this look and feel. Maybe I'll just put one little line break actually after the image. So there we go, a little bit more space here, and that way I'm happy with the code. So I can just take this little code section that I created and then copy that back into the section here. So I'll look for the email signatures, and right before the feedback section, I'll just paste that in and hit update. So now I've essentially created two customized reply themes that are slightly different for my competitive cyclist and leisure cyclist. Now, one thing I do want to note is if you're not comfortable with HTML or CSS, or this looks really foreign to you, I want you to feel comfortable because we actually do have a support team that can help you through any of these changes you'd like to make. And also, Desk does have a professional services team. So whether it's customizing the support center, the look and feel of the support center to match some branding ideas that you have, or even the reply themes, we do have our team available if you guys want that additional assistance. All right, so now I've finished step 3. I've created the custom reply themes for leisure and competitive cyclists, but they won't actually do anything until I tell Desk that they should be sent. And all of that action is controlled by the rules engine, which I can access in the Cases tab here. So under the Cases tab, there's rules, and all of these rule types will fire at a slightly different time. In my case, I want my rule to fire when my agent is replying back to my customer. So I'm going to put it in the outbound interaction section. And so the basics are, I've created this kind of rule in advance. So what I want to happen is if I've labeled that the customer type is a leisure cyclist, which I have in my custom field. So anytime a case comes in, either automatically or manually, we will check off that box, or we'll essentially select that customer type on the case. And then when the email is being sent out from Desk by one of our agents, we want the rule action to be that we're going to set the email reply theme to leisure cyclists. And all I have to do is click enable and then click update. And I'm going to do the very similar thing for my competitive cyclist. So what I can do is just copy and paste this rule. And here I'm just going to modify it slightly to set competitive cyclist reply theme. And I'm going to change that the customer type is competitive cyclist. And the rule action is going to be to set the email reply theme to competitive cyclist. I'll click enabled and update. And so just to kind of refresh everybody's memory, if I click on a case in Desk, so this is the agent view of the case, on the right-hand side where I have my case details area, these are the custom fields that I'm referring to. So when I say the customer type is a competitive or a leisure cyclist, I capture that on a case. And this is the same custom field that I use both in the rules as well as in the support center. So when I wanted the customer to tell me what type of rider they are they competitive or leisure cyclists, this is the exact same thing that I'm referencing. All right, so now basically I've created an outbound rule that says anytime an email goes out of Desk, and if it's a competitive cyclist or a leisure cyclist, they get those own email themes. The next thing I'm going to do is make sure that we're getting back to our customers in a timely manner. So if you guys recall, the management team really wants us to get back to our competitive cyclists within 3 hours and our leisure cyclists within 8 hours. So I'm going to use what's called a time rule. And time rules allow me to start a counter when something happens. So I've gone ahead and kind of created one to begin with for the competitive cyclist. And let's walk through what this means. So in the rule conditions, I've created 3 all conditions, meaning that all of these 3 must be true. So I want essentially the case status to be new, meaning that nobody's touched it yet. So an email has come in from a competitive cyclist and nobody's touched it. And it's been at least 2 hours or more since that happened. So although we do want to get back to our customers within 3 hours, I just want to set the reminder a little bit earlier. So I'll do it at the 2-hour mark. And then when 2 hours comes and goes and nobody's opened that case, the rule action is going to be to append a case label to this case that says 3-hour SLA reminder. And the next thing I'm going to do is actually set the case assigned agents to myself. So the reason we do this is if you have a team or somebody that's maybe a supervisor or an escalated support team member, you may want to have that person act as a triage for any cases that potentially have taken a long time to get back to customers. So that's one way that you can draw the attention to cases that necessarily don't have a response right away. So that's why I've created a little signal that tells me why this is happening, why this rule ran, and this person should know that in the future they're going to get cases assigned to them if we haven't gone back to them yet. And I've done a very similar thing for the leisure cyclist, but it's a little bit different. So still we're looking to see the case is new, so nobody's opened it yet. The customer type is leisure cyclist. And the hours since that case first came in is greater than or equal to 7 hours. So again, I want to get a little bit ahead of time. So not on the 8-hour mark, but just 1 hour before. So I have a chance to respond to the customer and still meet that 8-hour SLA. And the same thing, I'm going to append a case label. So I'm going to tell the agents exactly what's going on. And I'm also going to set the case assigned agent to a triage person so they can either answer customers directly or perhaps assign it to a better person. But at least there's somebody that's handling and actually taking care of those cases. So those are ways that you can use time rules to kind of be ahead of the curve if you do anticipate wanting to get back to customers a little bit faster. And the one last rule that we're going to look at creating is a rule to help us capture required fields. And if you ever use Desk or you're just trying to make sure that you're getting all the information that you need for reporting purposes, you probably want to make sure that any of these custom fields that you've created, for example, contact reason, if it's important for your team to track exactly what are the issue types that customers are writing about, you want to make sure that by the time an agent is done with the case and they're ready to resolve it, that this particular field is going to be filled out. If they do resolve it and you don't have this filled out, you could essentially have loss in reporting because you won't know why this person contacted you. So it's hard to track those issues. So what I'm going to do is create a rule that says if the case status is resolved, meaning that the agent is trying to resolve that case, and the contact reason custom field that I created, the case contact reason, is not selected. So it's not one of those predefined drop downs that we have decided on as a team. If that's blank, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to append a case label that says contact reason is required, and it's going to set the case status to open. So what that means is that when the agent is trying to click resolved, but it doesn't have it filled out, that agent will not be able to resolve the case. So I'm going to hit enable and click update. So the next time that I try to resolve a case and it's not done, then it's not going to let me resolve the case. All right, so this is the part where I've done a lot of work and I really want to make sure that everything is working as I hope it is. So we're going to go ahead and start testing some of these rules. So let's go ahead and get everybody on the line involved by sending us an email to this support email address. So I'll put this in the chat window. It's support@zzz-baycycles.com. 2.desk-mail.com. So you can just, it's a bit hard to write down. If you want to just copy and paste that email and send me a quick hello from your email. Feel free to inquire about anything or just send it in. And we'll take a look at all of the rules that sort of have come into play. So we'll look at the responsive, not the responsive theme, we'll look at the reply themes that we created, and we'll look at whether the updated rules will work. So I'm going to go ahead and navigate over to our inbox here. All right, Tom, thank you so much for sending us a case. So I'm going to click on Tom's case that's come in. Oh, actually, it looks like you started a chat case. So thanks for testing out chat, but I wasn't unfortunately able to type back to you. So in this case, I'm going to actually just close this because I want to show this on an email reply, on an actual email case, because the reply themes are only actually applicable for email. So I can't truly brand the chat section, but I can brand the email. All right, thanks, Tom. Thank you for being understanding. But feel free to send us an email, though, actually. So I'll close this chat case and go ahead. All right, thanks, Brian. So I'll go ahead and open your email. And so what I'll do here is I'll just set the customer type, in your case, a leisure cyclist. So you should get an email that has like that leisure cyclist reply. So I'll say, thanks for the email, and do send an update. All right, let's grab a couple more cases. Let's do Kyle. Great. And what I'll do is actually use one of the macros that I've created in before. So I created one for my competitive cyclists. You're going to get some information about our annual race. And this macro, what it also does, in addition to having the canned text in here, it also went ahead and set the customer type for me. So it's really easy to do. So I'll hit send an update. And so you should get more of the competitive cyclist theme. And then one thing I'm going to show you here is if I want to go ahead and just click resolve this case, I shouldn't be able to do that. So again, I see that the status is now set to open and this label says contact reason required. So that's exactly what we hope to happen. So I'm happy that my rule works. So if I go ahead and then actually select a contact reason, so let's just say it's new products, I'll click update. Now I should be able to actually go ahead and resolve that case. So there we go, resolved. So as an agent, what I can do is either just click to remove that label and click update, or as an administrator, I can create a second rule that says if the agent has now actually added the contact reason, then we can remove the label. So there's two ways we can do that. All right, let's go back to the inbox. Use a couple of macros here. So let's use that one. Send an update. So I can do send update resolve because I actually have all those fields filled out. Oh, I think I got an out of office reply. And then, okay, Angela, thanks for your email. Let's send you a macro as well. So you get that, update, send, and resolve. Oh, perfect. I gotta remember to fill in that contact reason. I'll remove that and hit update and resolve. There we go. All right, thank you so much everybody who sent in cases. If I didn't get to your case, which I think I've gotten most of them, you can feel free to test as well later on. All right, so now that I've actually set up some advanced configurations in my site, I want to start thinking about reporting. So when you start using Desk, you're going to get a lot of these cases coming into your site, and you'll probably want to start figuring out what are some trends that are happening in your support inquiries. And there's three places to do that. So I'll start with the kind of the more complicated one first, because usually people do ask about what are the sort of the extreme things that we can do. And one of those is our API. So if I go to dev.desk.com, we have a fully documented API that has endpoints for cases. So you can actually, if you have a developer on hand, you can ask your developer to write some scripts and pull information if you really want to see and create your own dashboards that are totally custom to your needs. So this is what some customers use and they really like it. I do encourage you to talk about your team with your team what level of reporting that you need, but this is certainly available for those of you that really want to customize what data you get from Desk. For most of us, what we'll do is actually use the Desk Business Insights tool. So from the admin section, I'm just going to hit Business Insights, and that's going to take us to the out-of-the-box Desk reporting tool. And what I'm looking at right now is the first page is the dashboard report. So the dashboard report is going to show me the last 24 hours worth of case data that have come in. And depending on the bill plan I am on, I'm on the Business Plus, for example, so I can actually customize these widgets and show different information if I want to see it. If I'm on the middle tier with the Pro plan, these are going to be sort of standard, and there is no dashboard if you're on the other plans. So the other things you do have access to, of course, are the overview report down to the company's report, which is really handy as well. So let's look at the overview report, because I find that for me, it's one of the most interesting to figure trends that are happening in my support. And the first thing I want to do is customize the date range. So this is my sample site, so I'm not going to have a ton of information, but if you have this in a production site and customers are emailing you, you're going to have a lot of cases that are coming in. So I'm just going to extend the time range a little bit longer here to the last 90 days, so I can pick up more cases that have been created in my Desk site. And if you think of Desk reporting, essentially what it does, it says, show me the summary of every single case that has come into Desk and give me some basic reports on it. So we see the number of cases that were created, how many have been resolved, and you'll see some metrics around time to first response, average handle time, first contact resolution rate. And if I switch to the next page over, I'll see basically number of interactions all the way down to the customer satisfaction score, or CSAT, if that is a tool that you've enabled in Desk. So we love the CSAT score. If you haven't thought of it yet, we do encourage you to turn it on, but we also have a webinar and more information about it as well that we can provide after the call. And now the one thing I will say is, this is a lot of information potentially for me, and I'm not really sure if I can really tell what's going on. So what I can then use are filters, and filters allow me to drill down. Instead of looking at every single case that has come in, I may want to only look at specific cases. And since I use custom fields quite extensively in my Desk setup, the easiest thing to do is for me to look at specific custom fields. And in my case, I really care about the events that people are emailing about. So I know that this event is pretty popular, but I want to actually see how many inquiries I get about this Friday Fun Ride. So what I can do is then customize or use the custom fields filter option to only show me, out of all the universe of cases that have come into Desk, just these ones. And when I use that filter, click apply, it'll allow me to just focus on that small subsegment of cases. So I can see out of all the cases that came in, 14 of those were about the Friday Fun Rides. So that's one way I can start looking at reports. I can start drilling down and thinking about the things that I care about and cutting data that makes sense to my team. The other thing that you can do in Business Insights is save reports. So once you've created reports, you can save them. And you can also download them. So this little download button will essentially download a CSV of everything that you see below the chart here. So the overview report, you'll see the summary of the case data. So I'll show you what that looks like. So here it is, basically the same metrics that you see on the screen, just in a CSV file. And the other thing I can do is, if I've actually saved this report and if I want to access it at a later time, I can get to it by scrolling down here, and all of the reports that I save are going to be added to my favorites list that I can access from this menu bar here. So at this point, we won't go into all of the different things that you can do in reports and Business Insights, but just explore, see what type of information is available in the different report types. And we also have a lot of documentation in our support center about what the various metrics mean and how they're calculated. So I do encourage you to take a look at that. And the last way that you can get case data from Desk is using what's called the case export. So even though I actually just used an export or download to CSV button here, if you're looking to get interaction information on every single case that has come in and you want to have a lot more detail, you can go into the classic agent view. So this is just a different UI. We generally encourage people to use NextGen because there's some great features in there. But for example, if I wanted to grab all of the cases that have come in into this particular filter, I can select all of them in the filter, or I can use the search and maybe search for specific cases. There is an export button here, and so I can just export to CSV. I'm just going to do that again so I can show you what the result looks like. So you'll see this download button here, and when you download the data, it's going to give you a CSV again, but it's a CSV of tons more information about every single interaction that has come in. So as you can see, there's going to be a lot more information. Let me just wrap that text so it's a little bit easier to read. So I can see I get the specific case numbers, case links, what it's about, who it came from, case status. So I can see metrics and all of the custom fields that I may have been using. So in my case, I don't use a lot of customer or company custom fields, but I do use the case custom fields like customer type and event type. So the good thing about having a downloadable CSV with all of the information is that if you want to, take this data and create pivot tables, it's really easy to create custom reports without having to use the API or ask your developer. So that's another way that you can get data from Desk. All right, let me close this. All right, so Jess, at this point, I do want to kind of take a quick pause and see if there are any questions before we take a minute to talk about DesConnect. Jess, is there anything that is good to talk about for this section?
Yeah, we've had a lot of really great questions, Barb. A lot of them have been able to be answered with some of the support references and articles that we have in our support center. So just to kind of recap for the general group, I did post in the chat window, a couple of you asked for the responsive theme code. So I went ahead and posted that link that Barb showed on her screen today where she was copying and pasting. And then also to a couple of articles related to the customizations of your fields or themes. And then also I'm about to post information for the next section. We're going to talk about DesConnect. I'm going to shoot over a link to all of you here in the chat window for the next upcoming webinar that will dive into it more deeply if the next section is of interest to you.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, Jess. All right, so the next thing I want to talk about is, let me just show you. I forgot I had these screenshots here. So in case you did not get an email reply back from me, the one on the left was essentially the reply theme that I use for the leisure cyclist. And on the right here, this is the look and feel that you would have seen if you got a competitive cyclist email. So as you can see, it's very light styling. I didn't spend too much time on it, but it just kind of gives you the idea of the things that you can do with Desk. All right, so DesConnect, let's talk about that. So DesConnect is essentially a bidirectional sync that allows you to send information from Salesforce to Desk and then Desk to Salesforce. And the way to set that up, we can go through the setup, but I'll kind of give you the guided tour first. So on the Salesforce side first, and again, if you don't have Salesforce, this may not be relevant to you, but if you're just curious, this is definitely an interesting way to kind of share information and report on cases. I'll basically go to the setup section of the Salesforce instance that I'm the administrator in. I'll search for cases, and when I grab the case fields, I'm going to go ahead and first match the desk priority to what I see in Salesforce. So I'll make sure that the case field priority in Salesforce has the same things that I see in Desk, so high, medium, low. And then on the status fields, the case status fields, that I also see the desk fields, new, closed, pending, resolved, and open. So I want to make sure that those are added as fields that I do see in my Salesforce instance. Once I've created that, then I also can add any of those custom fields that I've created. So in my case, it was adding things like customer type, which was competitive and leisure cyclist, as well as the contact reason. So I want to make sure all of those pick list values are available. So when I do sync my cases from Desk over to Salesforce, it'll map over and I'll have all that information as well. And then on the Desk side, the one thing I will say is if you haven't tried setting up DesConnect today, the first thing you actually want to do is you want to email our support team, because if you go to the settings section in your admin account, you may or may not see this DesConnect option here on the left-hand side menu bar. If you do not see that, just email our support team, say you want to enable DesConnect, and they're just going to go ahead and flip a switch on the back end that will allow you to see this option. So just remember to do that if you don't see it. And then I'll basically go ahead and connect to my Salesforce instance, adding my password and things like that. The next thing that Desk is going to encourage me to do is to actually map the fields that I have in my Desk instance with what I see in my Salesforce instance. And I'll actually just show that live, so it's a little bit easier for you guys to see what it looks like. So I'll go to the gear icon here under DesConnect. So at this point, I've actually already gone and set everything up. If you are setting up DesConnect for the first time, these fields in this section may not appear for about the first 5 or 10 minutes. So it's not that it's not working, it just takes a little bit of time for the system to sync for the first time. And then in about 5 or 10 minutes, you should see exactly what I see on my screen. So we have 3 options here. So you have the company object, you have the customer object, and you have the case object. And then I have also field mappings that allowed me to say, you know, what do I see in a Salesforce field and what should that match in my Desk field? And so on the case level in my particular instance, I wanted to make sure that basically the priorities matched, the statuses are matched, and if there's any custom fields, like in my case, I mapped customer type, the competitive and leisure cyclist. So those are mapped over to the Salesforce fields that I created earlier with the Desk fields as well. So I want to make sure that those mappings are done before I start syncing cases. And the settings the settings tab here essentially allows you to tell Desk what kind of information do you want to sync over. So if something is changed on the Salesforce side, if you don't want that to update a case in Desk, you can turn that off. Conversely, if you don't want something from Desk to Salesforce to update, you can always turn that off as well. And so in my case, for example, in the base cycles instance, I only wanted specific case types to sync over. So I can actually say if customer type is competitive cyclist, that's the only reason a case should sync over. So that's one more way that I can actually configure DesConnect and not maybe send every case over, but only the specific cases that I want. So that's one way I would use DesConnect for my particular use case. So the one thing that Jessica mentioned is that we do actually have a lot of resources in our support center specifically around DesConnect if this is of interest to you. So I do encourage you guys to look at those resources and also join any of the webinars. So every other Wednesday, we have dedicated webinars just to DesConnect, to answer any DesConnect questions. All right, and then let me just make sure I'm still logged in. I can show you what it looks like in Desk. So, in Salesforce. So if I do get cases coming over, I should be able to, this console is a bit new. So I will actually see all of the interactions coming over from Desk. So that's kind of cool. So I can actually see everything that did come over through the DesConnect integration. All right. So jumping back into the presentation. So again, we talked about a lot of things today. So after this webinar, we're going to send you this PowerPoint deck as well as a recording. And all the code examples I use today are in this Quip doc here. So there's a link to a shared document. So that way you will see all of the examples that I used today. And just so you know what it looks like, it is in, which window is it in? Here we go. So you can actually see all of the webinar resources I used, including the responsive theme. I have a sample article here, as well as the custom, basic custom fields I added to the email form, and the email reply code that I used. So feel free to use those as examples just to see how they'd work in your site. All right, and at this time, I just want to kind of point out a few more resources. So in addition to the Desk Support Center, we do have a number of Desk.com modules now. We have a total of 5 modules on Trailhead, which is a great learning resource that's free for anybody to use. So if you go to trailhead.salesforce.com and search for Desk.com, you will see a number of resources there. Our support center has plenty of articles as well as a video support center. So if you prefer to see things and hear them, the video support center is great. And this link to the right-hand side here will actually give you some examples of other customer support sites that have been built on Desk.com. So I know we started customizing our support center today using the responsive theme, but you can definitely go beyond that. And another interesting example is that our support center, the Desk Support Center, is built on Desk.com. So we've used the exact same tools that you have access to customize the look and feel of our support sites. And of course, our support team is available for you guys at any time. So if you have any questions, you can email or call them. They're more than happy to help. And at this point, I'd love to open up for any remaining Q&A today.
That's wonderful, Barb. Thank you so much for presenting today's content. I know we walked through quite a bit here in a short amount of time, and thank you to everyone in the audience for asking such great and relevant questions. The majority of our questions have been on these resources, so I do just want to emphasize the information that Barb just shared with you regarding Trailhead and our support center. Also, too, if you did have questions on some of the general admin portions, there is an admin one webinar that runs almost every other week here. We also have recordings of that in the support center. So don't hesitate to reach out to us if you have questions there. And we did receive a couple of questions related to who you can contact to turn on DesConnect, as well as just general for tech support. So definitely make sure that you bookmark a contact for support@Desk.com. So that's a great resource for the members on the line here as well. And with that, if you do have any outstanding or remaining questions, please don't hesitate to ask those. Barb and I are still here on the line. But again, we just want to thank you for attending today's Admin 2 Advanced webinar. We covered quite a bit here on advanced themes. And Barb, kudos for putting together all of this great content for our customers here on the line. Do let us know if you have any questions.
Yeah, happy to, Jess. And the one thing I do want to just ask you guys as well as we're wrapping up today, at the end of the webinar, we will be sending out a survey. So we'd love to hear from you, what you guys liked about the webinar, what you think we could do better, and what you want to learn next. So feel free to let us know how we can improve these and make Desk an even easier tool for you all to use. All right. Well, I guess if that's all of the questions, Jessica, we can call this a day. And thank you so much for all of you for joining. Hope you found this webinar useful, and let us know if there's anything that we can do better and change other content in the future.
Of course. Thanks, Barb. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Take care. Bye.